Well, this is really funny to see here. I was working on some other videos here, but I could not pass this up. This is just gold. So if a couple of you have seen my video about the whole Steam versus Epic Game Store, that whole video I did, go check that out before watching this one. I'll link it down below or something, but you know what, I'll just link it at the end anyways. But the fact of the matter is oh my God, this is just hilarious how I kind of basically called it. I have to, at least give props to Epic Games. They're really good at putting on their game face of trying to, be clever and, not show their true intentions. But boy, can you read through the lines if you know what's going on here by reading this story. It's funny how they pretend like they are all like, oh yes, we're gonna be the good guys in all this, but they're totally the bad guys in all this. So yeah, this is gonna be pretty fun to talk about. So Tim Sweeney says that he'll end all exclusivity on Epic Games Store if Steam decides to give 88% revenue to developers on what they make for the games being sold on their platform or their PC launcher, which is quite hilarious. Oh, we'll end the exclusivity. No, you won't. You're gonna end the exclusivity because you have no incentive after that. There is no incentive. See, the reason why the exclusivity worked so well was because they got a big financial deal out of it. Otherwise, there was no reason to use the Epic Game Store. Epic knew that. They realized there was no incentive for gamers to use their store over the Steam store. There was no reason to. So what they did was, even though they did have better deals and whatnot, they were like saying, oh, we're going to give, developers for Epic using the Unreal Engine. If they go to the Epic Game Store, they get, 88% revenue. So that was their incentive. That was their whole competitiveness, which was totally fine for the developers, but there was no competitive side for the gamers. Why they would want to use that? Because it lacked everything else. It lacked features, it lacked stability, it lacked a whole bunch of factors. So there was nothing, incentive to go to use that platform or that PC launcher. So the only thing they could do was just buy out the competition, and you say, oh, well, it is being competitive, but in reality, it's not, because it's not really competition if you're forcing people to have to go to a different launcher to buy from it. If you don't provide options from either side, it's not real competition. Even if you want to pretend that you think it is, it's totally not. But yeah, I have a lot to say about this. I'm just going to break it down bit by bit. But the first part of it about, if Steam starts giving developers 88% of their revenue back to developers rather than, taking 30% of the whole thing and instead only taking like 12%, that they're going to, we'll willingly end exclusivity. But no, that's not true at all. Because that was the entire buying reason, the entire reason why games would sell on Epic Game Store. If Steam were to do that, if they were to only take 12%, that would mean that if they sold on, Steam for 12%, only took 12% in from the overall and the 88% went to the developers, there would be no reason for exclusivity, which means there'd be no reason for gamers to buy from the Epic Game Store, and there would be no reason for developers to sell on the Epic Game Store. So they would have to remove it. The only reason that it even survived was because of the fact that they were using exclusivity and trying to buy out the competition to get people to go over to use exclusives. This is kind of hitting at the fact that there might not be a lot of gamers that are buying from the Epic Game Store. So what this means here is if they're selling, the developers would not even want to go and use the Epic Game Store, because if they're factoring in how much money they're going to get from exclusivities and how much they're going to get from game sales versus what they're going to get if they go to Steam, they're factoring in that they're going to make more money and that there would be no financial need to use exclusives and sell on Epic Game Store if they can get more money and not have to be exclusive. So that would require that, that there would be no incentive for these developers to go there because they would actually make more money on a well-polished, finished game. Now, the only games that would still take on the exclusivity from AAA games would be literally AAA asset flip games that are not even completed, not even finished, and they just want to pump it out as quick as they can before the exclusivity deals end, and they want to get that money from it, even though they know the game's complete garbage. And I know that people are like, well, a lot of games, come out and they're not fully finished. No, these games would be so broken broken that they would be just like not even they would probably not get fixed for months, even years after they launch. And basically what it's telling us here is they realize now, Epic Games Store realizes they want to start ending the exclusivity deal a lot quicker than they originally planned. They probably, a lot of people were speculating that when they said that it's not going to be around forever, they thought maybe 2 or 3 years, but I was, saying after 1 year that all these developers coming out saying, wow, we're going to get this exclusivity deal if we go to Epic Games Store. Let's start just pumping out the games and getting it done in 2019, regardless of whether it's finished, and just shoot it right on there. They're not going to judge us, because I also pointed out that the Epic Game Store is not going to treat AAA games the same way as indie developers, where indie developers are going to, be judged on their games, whether they're going to be allowed on the platform, to avoid garbage games. So any games that are like too buggy, too broken, or too controversial, they're not going to, allow on there. If they're just, complete asset flips, they're not going to allow them. So they're obviously going to have people that are going to inspect them and say that they have to pass some sort of test. But if you're a AAA game, you're, when the bouncer line, or the line to get in, the bouncer, he's just going to let you right on in. He's not even gonna, ask you whether or not, you're on the list. If you give him, a couple extra bucks right there, you know what I'm talking about. That's what these AAA people are gonna be. They're gonna be able to just walk right on in. Oh, you're from, this company and whatnot. These bigger end companies, they're gonna allow them right on in and give them those exclusivity deals. Well, now they realized, well, if Steam were to give 88% to the developer, and Epic Games gives 88% to the developer, but game companies realize they're going to make more money selling on Steam than what the exclusivity deals and the few people that buy from the Epic Game Store will get. They realize there is nothing, they will not financially make as much if they go to Steam. So the only ones that would actually go there are AAA garbage games. And then that would totally make, a total joke of the Epic Game Store saying, we don't allow garbage games except if you're a AAA developer, and then we'll give you exclusives. So now they realize, oh shoot, we need to start ending these exclusive deals then if they ever do. So they're trying to act like they have the high ground when they don't, when they're saying, oh, we'll willingly end the exclusivity deals. No, if they did actually lower it to 88%, you would have to, because there would be nothing for that launch anymore. So there's no incentive to use the Epic Game Store. And this is kind of a little bit sad, because it actually kind of makes me feel like as if the Epic Game Store launcher, it seems like a lot of it entirely was made just to try and pressure and bully Steam into giving up more of its share and how much money it takes in from its launcher. It feels like they didn't even make this launcher for the gamers. They just made it entirely because they had this financial means to waste a ton of money. And what's kind of funny is another person, It's a Gundam, pointed out, like in a story he also referenced, but I've seen a few other places too, how Epic Game Stores is pushing people to work 100-hour work weeks, and they say it's optional. But as someone who knows a little bit of the industry, how optional it is, optional is kind of like a way of telling you, it's kind of like your girlfriend who says, oh, it's totally fine, you can go out and hang out with your friends, no hard feelings. And you know what she really means is, if you go out with your friends, you're sleeping on the couch tonight. So when it comes to these game companies trying to say, oh, we don't pressure our employees to work 100-hour weeks, it kind of is, because anyone that actually does the whole, no, I only work 40 hours a week, I clock in, I clock out, my 10 hours a day, and I'm out. I do my work and I'm out. Those people, even though they probably could even have, to be honest, probably better work ethics than these people who are working 100 hours, because people that work 100 hours, your productivity does not go up. Even though this is a false belief that exists, they've done so many studies on this, and that only like 2 weeks ever does the productivity actually increase after that amount of time. After even 120-hour work weeks, even if you do 120-hour work weeks, after 2 weeks, they said the productivity drastically goes from being great to worse than people that work 40-hour weeks. So, but yet these companies really do pressure people to work this kind of stuff. They don't really tell them to. They say, oh, no, it's totally fine. But the truth is if you don't do it, again, these jobs are like projects. So once they're over, you have to reapply for your job in a lot of these companies. And if they go, you seem to only work 40-hour weeks. It doesn't seem like you really are invested with this really a company. Unlike Jimmy here, who he hasn't seen his family a couple of days because he decided to work 100-hour work weeks. So you know what? I think he deserves the job, and I don't think you deserve it because you didn't work for it. They obviously won't say that, but that's the thing. They don't tell you don't have to work it, but they really make you feel like shit if you do not. So yeah, yeah, it's really bad how the gaming industry is. A lot of industries are like this, unfortunately, but gaming industry, it's becoming more and more noticeable as time goes on. There's even people that have told me that they've seen people have, you know, seizures and whatnot because they've been working like 100 and something. I can't remember. It was like they literally never went home. They basically lived and breathed and fed and everything they did at work. They were just there and they had never left. And these people were just so desperate to want to keep their jobs and show that they're so loyal to the company to keep their jobs, so they never have to, have fear of job security, that they've actually, had seizures at their work and had to get taken to the hospital. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm even afraid to even go into the gaming industry. That's even though I've always wanted to get into the gaming industry, that kind of practice just. And the thing is, the whole reason I'm bringing this up here is how Epic Games Store is pressuring these their employees when they have all this money to hire more people on. They have money to hire more people on, but yet they have these deadlines that they want to meet so damn bad. And anyone who doesn't, anyone who takes a break from it, they relay the work off to someone else who stays. So they basically make you feel guilty if the other person gets all the work because you went to go and to your kid's birthday party or something. They make you feel bad for it because of the fact that it gets relayed on someone else or whatnot. They end up getting passed over the other work to them. So yeah, that's that's something that's a problem with the industry, and the fact that this company, out of any other gaming company, made the most ridiculous amount of money from a single game. What was it, like $2 or $3 billion in last year? And yet they can't afford more people, and yet this is one of the industries that's the biggest booming industry, but yet it has one of the fewest number of employees when it comes to like hiring. Like there's literally like for every one job out there, there's probably like 70 or 80 people trying to get that one job. That's how many people are struggling just to get a job. In fact, I saw one guy joking the other day when I was on Facebook that was in an indie group joking about how hard it is just to get a job in QA. They make you get all these degrees and everything, make you look like you're really qualified for the job, and then all that just to get a QA position. It's just, and for those that don't know what QA is, quality assurance, it's beta testing. A lot of people go, oh, well, I beta test games all the time when they come out on the game store. No. They are more demos. They just want you to play and think you're helping the game, but in reality, they're just using it as advertisement, and they're really just demos. They still use QA beta testers for games, people that are actual professionals in testing video games. So every time you think that, oh, well, I helped test Overwatch during the beta, no, you were playing the demo. They still use QAs. It's pretty actually annoying. Anyone that thinks that they're actually beta testing for a game and you're just a gamer sitting at home, like those people that are going to get ready for Halo Infinite, they're all like, oh yeah, I'm going to definitely be ready for the Halo Infinite flight tests. I'm going to help test it out. There's actually other people in QA that work at the company that work at probably 343 and a few other companies in part with 343 for Halo Infinite that are beta testing the game beforehand. Even those people that are the pro team, they're just there for the competitive aspect of making Halo competitive. They're not there, these esport players, to actually beta test the game. There's people that beta tested before these guys even touch it. But yeah, so the fact that this company, Epic, has all this money, they can hire more people on, and yet they choose not to because they still want more money, they still want more revenue, they still want more money coming in. and yet they're sitting here telling Steam that the reason why they're really trying to combat them is because all these hardships that all these companies have, that they're not getting enough money from their games, and that it's damaging them to be more productive because they're not getting enough money. But yeah, that's funny. These are constant examples. Destiny, for example, how much money was invested into that game? What was it, like 400,000 or something like that, 400 million or something like that? Some ridiculous amount of money was invested in that game. And I know that people say, well, most of that went to marketing, but still, the amount of money that went into the development side of the game still was like 10 times larger than that of Borderlands, the first one. And yet Borderlands had more content and more replayability to the gamer. So it isn't about how much more money a company gets. Epic Games, for example, let's go back here for a bit. Epic Games, when they came out with one of their own thing, and they left Gears of War behind, they were producing some really bad games. I don't even remember most of the names of them. They're not even worth my time looking them back up. I just remember back in the day when I had the Unreal launcher to start up Epic Games, the Unreal Engine, when I was using that during school. Yeah, there was games that they had on there that they were working on, they made and everything, and they were just really boring, not original. No one liked it. And all these people would go, yeah, Fortnite, or was it Battle Royale killed the Fortnite PvE wave mode? No, it actually didn't. The PvE wave mode had been out for a while, and no one cared. No one cared about it. No one wanted to play it. Because here's the thing. Just like I did a whole rant about Battle Royale, but I'm going to make it more simplified with this whole Fortnite thing. You cannot sell a game and only have that as the entire reason for that game. Like, you can't have one mode be the entire game, or it really does not last. The reason why something like Halo lasts for so long is because there's tons of things to do in it. That's why it's so fun. If you only have one thing that game is good for, there's no use for it. And so that's what they did. They said, oh, well, Fortnite, it's going to be this game where you it's kind of like Forge, where you build a bunch of stuff, and then you have like a firefight mode where you fight all these bots that come out and try to destroy your fortifications, and you just keep doing that over and over. That's just repetitive. There's not much more to that game, and there was literally nothing. That game was actually dying out. If it hadn't been for them adding the Fortnite element to it, and just happened to get lucky that it just was so popular during that time to just boom, just jump them straight to the top. If it had not been for them, their company would still financially be really doomed right now. And so it seems like what's happening here is they know that they can't sell good games. They just got lucked out on the whole Fortnite Battle Royale. But the fact is that's going to eventually die out. So it feels like what they are doing here, instead of actually investing into a launcher, making it good, making it something that the gamers actually want, it seems here that what they did is they made a launcher that just worked just enough, and that it'll still be used around for some things. But it feels like a good majority of this game this launcher was entirely made to pressure Steam to get them to give them more money by trying to take away sales that they could have received, so that basically starve Steam out to the point of trying to get them to cater into their demands. So then they'll go, okay, we'll sell Fortnite on your on the Steam store now that you've lowered it to 88%. So it seems to me that what they did this entire time is they realized that money's not going to last forever, so that they're just pressuring Steam to cater into their demands so that they can keep releasing their games that no one cares about. Their games, I forgot, again, there was a bunch of games before this, just small, minor ones that no one was playing and no one really cared about. I think it was like 4 or 5 different games. No one cared. It was not fun. They were not enjoyable. I played them on the Unreal launcher, and it was just not like that great of a game, while I was also working on my level map design games that I was working on. They were just not that fun. They were just simply there just to show you, hey, this is what your game could look like if and how you could build it. That's what they were good at with their Unreal launcher, showing how to make your games on there and all that stuff. But it's pretty sad that a company that gets 100% revenue because it's their own launcher, they get all the money coming into their game. They're working people 100-hour work weeks, and yet still saying that they're still, them and other companies are financially hurt by Steam taking so much money out. But yet, even when these companies have a boatload of funding for their games, they still can't produce a good game. Again, Destiny. how much money was invested in that, and yet it still sank. It had nothing, and yet even though it got all this money from it, even it has its own launcher. Technically, what was it? Activision has their own launcher, or something like that. I don't even really care to look into that, because I never really bothered with that game other than on Xbox, and I'm still trying to sell the original game, and no one wants to buy it. Yeah, even $5, no one wants to buy this game. So the fact of the matter that this is just, it's absolutely irritating that it seems like more and more that this launcher was entirely made, this Epic launcher was entirely made just to get Steam pressure to try and lower how much money it's making. And so they're trying to, pretend that they're the good guys, that they're like, oh, we'll willingly get rid of exclusivity deals. No. You're going to get rid of exclusivity deals because no company will actually buy from you once the exclusivity deals are running out. And they realize that. They're realizing all these companies are going to just pump out asset flip games on their launcher to get exclusive deals. And Epic realizes, oh, shoot, we're going to run through all of our money. They want to end it earlier now. So not even 1 year. They're going to want to end this even sooner. Again, a lot of people also brought up that Tim Sweeney has been known for saying one thing and then going to another thing. But I kind of wish they would, Steam in a way kind of would, in a way, just to call Tim Sweeney's bluff. Because I kind of like that when Bethesda said, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys, we can't do crossplay because Sony won't allow us." And Sony goes, "No, go ahead. Yeah, we'll allow crossplay. Go ahead and add it in." And then immediately afterwards, Bethesda goes, we're too far into development and all this stuff. Which is funny because, by the way, Epic Games, they're only allowing, Unity and Unreal but on their platform. But if they allowed Creation Engine to be used on the Epic Games Store, I guarantee they would have allowed Fallout in Fallout 76. They'd be like, yeah, come on right on in. They wouldn't tell them, hey, your game's a little buggy. We can't allow this game to be on here until you fix it. No, they wouldn't tell them that. They would let them right on in. That's probably the only reason why they went to Steam, because they just don't allow the engine. Otherwise, I guarantee Epic would just go, yeah, no, come on right on in. We don't care. We're not going to judge you because you're a AAA developer. So yeah, this is pretty sad in some ways. It's funny the fact that they just showed their Achilles heel, that in reality this company has no incentive to use their launcher at all, and now they're coming to the realization that this is the worst decision they have, and they need to end the exclusivity deal as soon as possible because it's just going to financially kill them. The whole reason why this even existed was they wanted to pressure Steam to give them more money. That they said that they want more money from their games and that they're going to sell their games that did not even do well on their own launcher, and they want to sell it on Steam. So the reality is they just wanted more money, and that they and all these other companies, all these other developers were kind of, without, obviously openly saying it, they were kind of just all in agreement of trying to financially impact Steam into bullying them into their demands, which comes out to the real, the end point here that I want to end this off with, is how sad this kind of is. Gamers, they were really hoping to see some actual competition between, Steam and another company like Epic Games. They were really hoping to actually see some real competition, someone that would bring something new to the table, that Steam would have to go, oh, we have to change our game to compete. And instead, they brought nothing, because their only incentive was to kind of pressure Steam into giving developers more money. That was it. They had no incentive for the gamers. And you can tell by the way Tim Sweeney acts about gamers now all of a sudden. Apparently he used to be a very popular person amongst gamers, and ever since the Epic Games has, become more of a launcher than it has been for game development, they've been kind of crude and, rude and disrespectful to their to gamers, because now their customers are the developers. So to them is, the launchers won't be, whoever succeeds in launchers or whatever that, he said that it won't be decided by gamers, it'll be decided by the developers. It's like, no, when it comes to an open market like this, it's going to be decided by the people who have the money to buy games. And if they're not going to buy your games, you're not going to last. The only reason why you guys are all high and mighty is your Fortnite, which now is starting to disappear. It's, slowly, like every other game, it's just getting to its point where it's getting old and that people want to try new stuff now. You can keep pushing your workers to 100-hour work weeks to try and get all this content out, but it's going to eventually die out. Eventually, parents are they're not going to give their kids money to keep buying your 50 effing custom armors and skins and all that stuff. It's eventually going to die out. And the fact of the matter is you know that, and I know that. It doesn't take people watching, Game of Thrones to know when a person's trying to be clever and deceitful and trying to play the high ground, Littlefinger style, and in reality, we know what's really going on here. This whole time of you trying to pretend that you're the good guy, that you're going to end the exclusivities, that you're that if Epic Game Store does this and try to make it look like you're the heroes of it, we all know that now the only reason you even pretty much made this launcher, besides maybe making it a little bit more convenient for some people to practice on launching games, is you did it because you wanted to pressure Steam into making them Steam into giving more money to developers, and that was it. That you just wanted to bully them because you had enough money to do so. That was it. You didn't really care about the gamers. You didn't really care about the consumers, what they wanted. You just wanted to, have it your way. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just sad. That really is sad because we really were looking for actual competition that would actually we were totally fine with the whole 88% thing for developers. We were hoping, though, you would give something else for the gamers, that they were really looking forward to something like that. But instead, you didn't do that. Instead, you just pretty much said, screw the gamers, we only care about the developers. And now you understand why you're not going to last anymore, because even the developers are taking advantage of your exclusivity deals. So unfortunately, there's no real winners in this. This was a complete waste of time. This was a complete waste for everyone that was really looking forward to seeing some actual competition, and instead people saw it as or all they saw it as was a way to bully another company because they didn't like the fact they took so much money out. So yeah, that's the entire game here. That was it. It looks like this was nothing more than just a joke for Epic Games, and that gamers again lose out of any any better competition out there. There clearly wasn't. So yeah, unfortunately, that's it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep reiterating the same thing. It's just it really is unfortunate. Anyways, I'm just gonna wrap this video up here. I hopefully never have to do another story about the Epic Games Store ever again, because even though I'm going to the PC gaming and I really enjoy playing on the PC a little bit more, this is just, it was a total waste. It was just the saddest thing of seeing a developer or these people trying to act like they really cared about competition, but in reality there was no competition. It was just two companies trying to bully each other, and one company trying to pretend that they're the good guys, that they have the high ground, but in reality anyone like me who's seen this enough times, seen this like game being played, knows what's really going on and who's trying to play who. So yep. So they either get Steam to be pressured to lower the 88%, or eventually they'll end their exclusivity, but they'll try to be very quiet about their sales and everything. That's why they won't show their numbers about how many game sales they actually make. That's why they're constantly not, being open about how much money they make, and the developers are just claiming what they supposedly made. It's just, yeah, it's unfortunate. Anyways, hopefully I got some better videos out here I'm currently working on, and I'll get those out to you. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Take care. Peace.